FSN Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.
Welcome. You are listening to the Financial Survival Network. I'm Kerry Lutz, and today, believe it or not, is September 25th, 2019. This month is just about over. And therefore, with all the movements in the markets, the gyrations, everything else, we thought it was a good idea to get in touch with our good friend Charles Nenner. And hey, you find him at nennerresearch.com, Nenner research. Research.com.
.com.
Okay. We've got it. Got the site right up here. Oh, I'm sorry. Actually, you find him. I'm going to edit this, Charles. Actually, you find Charles at charlesnenner.com. That's Charles, Nenner.com. You know Charles. He's been on the show many times. His forecasts, uncanny. They're not perfect. Nobody's forecasts are perfect. When you find that person, please put them on to me because I want to meet that person, because I've never met that person yet. And you know how many interviews I've done? Over 6,000 interviews in the past 8+ years. So I'm not bragging. I'm just saying that most people, their systems, their projections, they don't work. With Charles, consistently, you might not get everything right, but you get a lot of it right, Charles. So, hey, with that out of the way, welcome back to the show. Now, you were making a big call on gold. Gold hit 1550, retraced. Silver broke $19, was heading towards 20, retraced. Looks like we're in a bit of a consolidation period. What are your thoughts right now about precious metals?
Well, the last thing we did is we sold the gold around 1550. We sold with the profit, and we got in at the 1489, 1490 a week ago. And we have a very tight stop at 1428. I think it could be maybe test the highs, but then for a while, we're not going to see higher gold prices. That has to wait for next year.
Next year, so fourth quarter, beginning of first quarter, 2020. So you think that's when it makes its move, huh?
Yeah, it will be a bull market of several years. And if you don't want, you don't have to time it. But gold makes moves of $60, $70, $80. So it's worthwhile to look at our research and time it. But it will go to 2,500 in the end in the next couple of years.
Really, 2,500? That would be quite a move, wouldn't it?
Well, it's 1,500 to 2,500. Yeah.
Yeah. So silver, you have any projections for silver? I know you really primarily follow the gold market, but silver's been pretty hot. Going to go higher?
No, I think silver is going to outperform gold, and it could definitely test the last two highs around 50.
Wow, around 50. Hey, so that's an interesting prospect there. And so when we're looking at the markets, what markets you think you should be in, and what markets you think you should stay out of?
Well, it was very interesting. We had requests on Bitcoin, and we started doing the Bitcoin cycles and the Bitcoin levels. And that's phenomenal the way it works, probably because there's no fundamentals in Bitcoins. So no fundamentals going to interfere with our cycle work. So we're doing so greatly in the Bitcoin. The other markets is difficult. The crude is going to go lower for a while. The currency is not going to do much. The bonds are going up one more time and hang around for a while. It's going to be difficult to make money, especially because they're totally out of stocks. As long as this S&P does not make a new high, we're totally out of stocks. So also in stocks, we don't make any money. So we have to make short-term trades, mostly in gold, crude. Bitcoin, like I said, is doing extremely well, to my surprise, because I didn't want to do it, but I had so many requests. And we'll try to make, as usual, a nice rate of return this year and next year. Yeah.
Well, we're looking at these markets. You've been pretty upbeat on gold and Bitcoin. What exactly is going on with interest rates right now? We had this freeze up in the repo market. The repo market is one of those markets that's stodgy. It's the mainstay, or one of the mainstays, of the global financial economic system that banks buy and sell AAA rated treasury securities back and forth to get a little bit of yield or to get some liquidity without having to go to Fed funds. What exactly is going on in that market?
Well, the repo market, I don't really have a good insight. The bonds are on a buy signal already for a while. And I think we're going to have a recession. I even think we're going to have a deflation problem. And I don't think, first of all, that interest rates will go up from here. It's not going to be inflation. The only way that interest rates can go up is if we get the crisis like we had in Europe, that there's no liquidity, like you just spoke about in the repo markets. And that will bring interest rates up. Like I heard overnight, they went as high as 10% in the repo market.
Correct.
But for now, I think this deflation, the CRB is going lower, crude is going lower, and bond rates should stay low for a while.
So oil also going lower, huh?
I have a long-term downside target of 36, so that's a lot lower.
That's a lot lower than it is now. Natural gas is already as low as it could possibly be. Can it go any lower?
It can, but for the moment, the cycle turned up. So we have been short a long time. And for now, we're not short. We're a little long. And for the next couple of weeks, maybe 2 months, it's not going much lower.
Okay. What about the VIX? What's going on with the VIX? I should have talked about that with stock market prices, but can kind of cover what you think about the market and the VIX.
Well, the VIX for the next 1-2 years is going to be much higher than it has been for the last couple of years. Very short term. Tomorrow, we have a projected cycle low in the VIX. And I told my subscribers that we're going to take a look tomorrow if we want to go long the VIX again, which usually works out very nicely. We did it in the beginning to defend our long position in stocks, but since we have no stocks left, it's only going to be a trade to make some profit. But the VIX is going up for about 10 days. That actually doesn't bode too well for the market. The S&P, NASDAQ, and Dow Jones are on sell signals, although on short-term sell signals, but that definitely could turn into a long-term sell signal. And optimism is much too high. If you look at the small investors, they have absolutely no fear. It's only the big investors who are selling and hedging themselves.
Yeah, this is very true because the fear index, when everybody, I just remember Benjamin Graham's saying from the 30s, he said, when the bootblack, which is what we call the shoeshine boy, and the elevator operator are coming to you with stock tips, it's time to head for the exits. You think we're at that point now?
No, I don't think, because we have a very special situation that people for the retirement and retirement funds all over the world have to make some rate of return. Now in Europe, interest rates are negative. So they keep to load up on European bonds, but they have a negative return. So the only game in town is stocks, and they lose every normal estimation of a normal value is, because they have to make some return. So that's a very special situation. What Graham talks about is that normal people said the stocks are expensive, and let's take some in bonds and have some interest that we can accumulate. But now you have no interest.
Yeah, no interest. So that actually makes the case for precious metals too, right? If you're not making anything anyway, you might as well just buy some gold, pay for the storage, and hope for the best here, because at least you have something of value that probably is not going to decline in value.
Well, it's one of the, in deflationary crisis, one of the last things that are left. And for investors, it's a good thing to buy gold stocks. You still get some dividend, and then it's better than having bonds. And then you can have depreciation if it goes up together with the gold price.
Yeah, and then, of course, with metals, like you said, the oil price is headed down, probably energy prices headed lower. So that is a really bullish thing for precious metals, because if you're an actual producing miner, your largest cost besides labor, and it's pretty close, is energy. Yeah, if you're close by and your project, or as the Canadians, our good friends, the Canadians would say, your project is close to the grid, you just run a wire off of there and you've got instant electricity. But a lot of these newer projects are very remote and have to generate their own power, which means they have to ship the diesel fuel to generate the power. Long distances, it gets highly expensive, very costly. So when the cost of energy comes down, the the profits of these companies, we're talking producing, not exploration or discovery, their profits skyrocket. And then in addition, with a rising gold price, it's got to be probably the best buy out there for select companies.
I totally agree.
Yeah. So you've been a big proponent of real estate, like buying condos, renting them out. Here in Florida, where I live, it seems to be the state pastime. I always say in Florida, Charles, there's only one industry, and that is the real estate industry. Because if you talk about hospitality, it's just another manifestation. When you talk about medical, healthcare, it's just real estate plays in different flavors. So we're looking in Florida, the trends have just been so positive for the state. 500,000 people, 500,000 hapless souls moving here to escape high tax rates in high tax states like New York, New Jersey, California, Illinois, all of these places. They're just running for the exits, which we knew was going to happen. Even Carl Icahn is moving to Florida. He gave up on New York. So small houses, house rentals, condo rentals in Florida, you think that's going to be good for whatever hits us?
Well, what you have is you still have, most people got around 7% if they buy real estate and rent it out. And what I said is, if I don't like the stock market and I don't like the bond market, because if you buy bonds here, the only thing that you can have in the end is lose capital, because if the bond just go down a bit, you lose 10, 50%. So the best thing is, if the crisis is coming like I see it's coming, buy small apartments and rent them out and know that the real estate will come down, even in Miami, but it will come up in a couple of years and you have a nice rate of return and you don't have to worry about any market.
Yeah, hey, I'm totally with you on that. And I actually work with a company that helps people invest in single family homes. So if any of you are interested out there, just email me, kl@kerrylutz.com. And it's a way to dramatically decrease your taxes if you have passive income. You can almost eliminate them if you're aggressive with the strategy. Totally legal. It's been embraced by the new tax bill that was passed in 2017. So one other thing, Charles, inflation. You've been following inflation for a while. You think we're heading for deflationary times ahead?
FSN Radio. It's all about what's next.
Osino Resources is a Ross Beatty-backed gold exploration company in mining-friendly Namibia. Osino's district-scale land package is situated near 2 producing gold mines, one of which Osino's management team previously developed and sold to B2 Gold. Osino's founders and management are experienced mining professionals who have already successfully developed and sold 2 companies in the past 7 years. Osino has an excellent shareholder base, with Ross Beatty owning 20%, Insiders 5%, and Resource Capital Funds 8%. This is an exploration company with drills turning that you'll definitely want to pay attention to. Osino trades in New York under the ticker OSIIF and in Toronto under the ticker OSI. To learn more, go to osinoresources.com. That's osinoresources.com.
The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.
Yes, we have been in deflation for the last, 30 years, and it's not over yet. It has to end with the deflationary crisis, and that's why central banks continue to lower interest rates, which get us really in trouble. And we will have the deflation, and then, of course, we have a big inflation coming up, but not while people think that we have it. Only when people don't believe in inflation anymore, then it's going to start.
So totally contrarian play. And yes, right. So negative interest rates. Just tell us the kind of damage you see that they do to markets and to really to economies in general.
Well, the problem is, I'm not talking about the financial sector who cannot make any profits, but what happens is that we have all these big, I talk for Europe because I'm from Europe, these big pension funds, and people have been paying into their pension for all their lives, and they're not going to be paid out anymore because the pension funds, they don't make any profits anymore. Mm-hmm. This means that the consumer will have no money left to consume. So that will kill the consumer market, and that will be so bad for the economy. It seems on first sight that it's good, but in the end, nobody will have any money left.
You know what it reminds me of, Charles? I remember the Vietnam War, and there was a soldier, and they said, "Why did you destroy that village?" And his response was, "We had to kill the village to save it." And that's what the central bankers are doing. They have to kill the economy to save it. And it's madness. What would happen if the Fed, the world's central banks, stopped supporting this madness? We had the government step in and backstop all the banks' depositors but none of the creditors, we'd have a really bad time, but it would last for a few years and then life would get back to normal again, right?
Well, the problem is that after the 20s, they decided we don't want to have big crisis anymore. So now we've got a Federal Reserve, first the New York Fed, and they're going to fine-tune the economy and to keep it going. We don't have big downfalls anymore. And now actually it's too late. It has gone this far that there's not much they can do anymore. So whatever the Fed will do, we'll get in a big crisis.
Yeah, so they can do nothing at this point. And
right.
So is it just better to let the crisis run, or do they just have no choice and they should just accept the inevitable and just step back and let it unfold? Or is it the futility of man that, we always think that we can substitute our will for God's, if you will, and change things, make things turn out differently?
Well, there's the idea came up like we had Professor Schumpeter, who believed in business cycles, even predicted the 1929 crash. And then came Keynes, and Keynes say, if we take care of the money supply, it's not going to happen anymore. So all politicians says, oh, we like Keynes because why would you vote for me if there's nothing I can do for you? So going this way, why would you vote for people? Because they can't do anything for you. So they want to keep it going, the idea that they can fine-tune the economy because otherwise they have nothing to stand on.
Yeah, and then,
so everybody has his own interest.
Hey, remember, like the central banks, the Federal Reserve, it used to be all they did was manage gold, and the dollar was a warehouse receipt effectively for gold on deposit in the vault. And now it's become something totally different, and they have this extreme power. We see that government institutions, regardless, never like to give up any power at all. So they're just going to ride the ship down. They're on the Titanic. It's already hit the iceberg, or the iceberg is within view, but it's too late to do anything about it. So they're going to be like the band on the Titanic, and they're just going to keep playing until the ship sinks.
Well, we know it's going to happen if Mrs. Warren is going to be president with her ideas. So I don't know where we're going to end up with all these financial markets. I mean, but who was it from Omega? He said they're not even going to open the stock markets anymore when she wins.
They'll just close the market. It'll be like a financial 9/11. Just say, all right, the market's done. They've served their purpose. We don't need them anymore. Goodbye. And then, wow, that would throw the country and the world into turmoil like overnight. What I find so interesting is, being a European, that if you don't think Trump says nice words, aren't you afraid for your future or the future of your children? You're going to vote for people like that? So you don't think he's a nice guy, but you're going to be so self-destructive? I don't understand it. Hey, you know what happens to nice guys, Charles? You've been a nice guy. I've been a nice guy. It hasn't really gotten us anywhere in life, per se, until we toughened up and realized the reality of things. And I think political system's exactly the same. So make sure you go over to charlesnenner.com. Charles's work is available to you. Free subscription available for a period of time, Charles?
Yeah, there's a free subscription. And by the way, I still continue to be a nice guy.
All right. But a nice guy, but not letting yourself get taken advantage of, right?
Well, usually it happens also. What can I do? Well,
when it comes to kids, your kids are going to take advantage of you no matter what. That's just a fact of life. But other people, don't let them. Don't be a sucker for anybody. That's what I say. Being nice for the sake of nice and not offending people doesn't get you anywhere. Dare to be offensive, but look out after your own interest and do the best you can for others without being a chump, right? You want to help people, but you don't want to be a dupe. You don't want to get used and abused and then tossed out like a used or a freshly squeezed grapefruit, right?
Yeah, but maybe like a used gold coin. That would be not too bad.
Yeah, well, that's okay. Then you don't lose anything in the process. Anyway, Charles, always great speaking with you. Thanks so much for coming on the show.
You're welcome.
We'll touch base with you in another month and a half and see where this madness is headed.
Okay, be well. Hang in there.
FSN Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to FinancialSurvivalNetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.